Welcome back to another episode of Technology for Independence with Christopher Cooley. Today, Christopher Cooley is going to be talking with the gentleman about assistive technology and remote support. So stay tuned. Welcome back to another episode of Technology for Independence with Christopher Cooley. Today, Christopher is going to be talking with Jared Hunt about remote support and assistive technology. Chris, always a pleasure talking with you.
It's a pleasure to be here one more time, Patrick. I've been to different events and different activities, and I've seen Jared Hunt with his table and talking about assistive technology and remote support, and how many people that stop by and listen to him talk about assistive technology and remote support. I thought it would be awesome to have him on today and talk a little bit about assistive technology and remote support. Jared, would you like to tell us a little bit about you and what you do?
Yes, absolutely. Gentlemen, thank you for having me on today. Love the opportunity to speak about who we are and what we're doing. Again, my name is Jared Hunt. I'm the CEO for Winwreath Incorporated. We're located out of Northwest Ohio, and we've been a provider agency here in the state since 1994. I've actually been with the agency the entire time. Just hit my 30-year anniversary, which means I won't let you do some reverse math, but I have been doing this for 65% of my life and just absolutely love what's happening. The way that we got started is we provide direct support services to people with developmental disabilities. That was starting out with providing services for people where we just have staff going into the home and providing for every possible need that they have. Over the course of doing that, especially in the mid-90s when we started, we kind of had a reputation for dealing with services that were for folks that had more intensive needs, whether it be physical needs, medical needs, or behavioral needs. We really wanted to roll up our sleeves and challenge ourselves as a provider. Over the course of that, we got into doing things like environmental modifications or adaptive and assistive equipment purchase, which we still do today. And that led us down the road of providing technology-related services. In the early days of that was providing personal emergency response systems. And I guess I kind of got a little bit of a reputation for that forward thinking with the way that we provide services, and eventually got to the point where we were able to get involved in the technology services that are here in Ohio today. About 14 years ago, we started talking about providing this unusual service that nobody had ever provided from an Ohio provider standpoint. And that was what we were calling back then remote monitoring. So I was intrigued by it. I was certainly a lot younger man back when this came up, and was very intrigued with what this could do for our supports. But, the one thing that I wanted to think about is if we're going to be providing what we now call remote support, how are we going to attack that differently than other organizations might? And then it occurred to me, just to keep it simple, we want to do what we've always done. We've always specialized in providing direct support services to the folks that we're serving. We want to do exactly that. We want to use technology not to bring people further apart or to replace them with robots or computers, but we wanted to create a system where we can use technology to bring people closer together. And that really is what got us to where we are right now today.
What kind of assistive technology services do you specifically offer and provide?
Great question. And my answer in short would be everything. And so to talk about that, what we do is we really focus on what is the need for the person that we're serving, the person that we're working with. And a lot of times when we mean what is the need, that can be what is their barrier to independence. And as you guys can imagine, that's highly specific to each individual person. But what we do is we work with their support team and determine why they may need supports or some sort of assistance. And then we want to use assistive technology or remote support to be able to fill in the gap and meet that need. And I guess we should talk a little bit about the difference between what those are. Once we determine what the assessed need is for someone, some examples for assistive technology might be monitored medication dispensers, maybe devices that can detect seizures and alert individuals, GPS tracking devices, home automation systems, anything that might make life more simple and more independent for the folks that we're serving at that time. Those are the types of things that we would use assistive technology for. We always like to start with the most simple solution possible. And I feel like we're in a really unique situation here because we're the only Ohio homemaker personal care provider that does both assistive tech and remote support. So coming from a technology background, what we try to do is use the least complicated amount of technology possible, and then only increase in complexity as we really need to. When we talk about moving from assistive tech, which can be very low tech, to remote support, really what we're doing is using remote support again to bring people together. So where someone that we're serving may have had in the past a caregiver in home with them during afternoon or overnight hours, we can put various forms of technology in the home to allow for us to be able to get a glimpse into everything going on in their environment that we have the business to see, nothing more and nothing less. But what that does is it then connects the person to a monitoring center that we have with a live individual. Basically, what we're doing is we're connecting the person that we're serving with a regular direct support staff of sorts back here at our home location. What that might look like is somebody that has historically had support in place because maybe in the middle of the night, they would get up and open the door for a stranger that was knocking on the door, or perhaps they've had seizures and just needed somebody to be there to be alerted to the seizures. It might be that we need to help somebody get up and get ready for work in the morning, prompting them or whatever that might be. Well, through our technology, we can do everything with that person that a direct support person can, except physically touch them. That's it. So aside from that, we have the ability to give them increased periods and places of privacy through our technology. And I should talk about that technology a little bit, give you a glimpse of it. We want to be able to outfit their home with just the right amount of technology they need to be able to meet whatever that assessed need is for them. And that's something that the individual and their support team decide how they do that or what the need is. And then we will prescribe the forms of technology that make that happen. We like to have our contact with the people that we're serving. We like that to be through video, much like this, that we may serve somebody whose hair is always really nice and in order, but at some point in time, we connect with them and we see that their hair is really disheveled. And, maybe there's something else about their appearance that lets us know that there might be a problem. So we always like to start out with a two-way video technology so we can just have conversations and do life with them like we're face to face. From there, we'll outfit their home with the ability to transmit signals from their house back to our support center. And that is going to be for, again, the things that we need to know about their environment. It might be some video. We use video in many circumstances, but not all of them. And we don't watch everything that they're doing. We never have videos in private places, but we would potentially have videos to see who's coming in and out of the front door and whatever they might want. Aside from that, it might be that we have the ability to speak with them in the two-way communication. We have the ability to see with some cameras, but maybe, like I alluded to a moment ago, maybe they have seizures and they've never been able to be left alone as a result of those seizures. So we have devices that can detect seizures and alert us immediately if that's the case. We like to even be able to keep an eye on their environment. If there's anything about the environment that may create a seizure condition for them, we want to make sure we're keeping an eye on that as well. My daughter, for example, used to have seizures when her room would get too hot. So what we did is we put a technology in there, we put temperature sensors in there, and they would allow for us to see when her room is approaching dangerous temperatures, the furnace is on in the wintertime on a cold, windy night, and her room would get too warm. Well, it alerted us immediately. We could get up, open her door, shut a vent, whatever we had to do, and completely avoid the circumstance. Well, we can do that in remote support as well. We can control the environment. So that might be heat, light, accessing the doors. We can unlock doors. We can shut off appliances. If they have a tendency to get up in the middle of the night and make that bag of popcorn, but aren't as good with setting the time and have set that microwave on fire once before, we can see that someone that we're serving has gotten up, is moving through the house, is getting that bag of popcorn out. We want them to be able to do that. But if something happens and they don't shut the microwave off on time, we, from our support center, can shut it off for them just in the nick of time. So it is buttery, fresh, and at its best for them.
So who are your customers?
So we are primarily serving folks through Ohio Department of Developmental Disability Waiver Service. Right now, we are serving people all across the state. Anybody that might need us, we are happy to care for.
Is that taking away from professionals that need to come in the house?
Is it taking away from professionals? We were afraid of that at first. And at first, we were afraid of the stigma that we're taking people's jobs. And in short, not at all. So one of the things that we found was when we first started providing services, this is a service that is far more cost effective. It is way less to provide this service than to have a direct support professional in the home. So we knew that in providing this service, it would actually free up budgets in folks' services that perhaps were strained and they couldn't get enough staff just because of budget restrictions. So in providing this service, when there might otherwise be downtime, instead of having the staff person sleeping on a couch in the middle of the night, by providing this more cost-effective service, what you find is that the folks that we're serving actually receive more direct support because their budget can now be stretched further, so those staff can be in their home more. As we got through COVID, we were looking at that, times where homes would have a sudden outbreak of COVID, and there were some problems with getting those staff into the homes and the quarantines and everything else. Well, by being able to place our equipment in there and being able to have a good amount of service provided through remote support, they're getting more help than ever. And then if you recall, after that, after COVID, we felt, boy, we're out of the woods. Things are opening back up. Things are going great. This is fantastic. But then we were hit with a staffing shortage. And that has been, in my 30 years, like nothing else I've ever seen here. In the midst of that staffing shortage, we've been able to provide more support to folks because we've been able to use remote support as a technology to address that need. And specifically, we see that there are many people all throughout the state that need a new service provider, but there just aren't enough staff to go around. So what would happen is we would provide remote support to as many people as could possibly use it. And that freed up the staffing pool so that the limited amount of direct support professionals that were here could be used for people that truly needed it. Remote support has actually helped and has ensured more people are getting just the right services that they need.
If somebody wanted to get services from you, how would they do that?
So if they are going to be working through their local county board of developmental disabilities, there is free choice of providers. So they can request us. They can get a hold of us. Our website, which is www.win-reeth.com, WYNN-REETH.com is a great way. They can find us through a provider search. They can get a hold of us directly or contact the local county board. And we're happy to chat with anybody.
So you'll go to their home to show them items that you may be able to support them with and different things that you work with. Do you go to their homes, or do you have to have them to come into your office, or how's that happen?
Yeah, so that's an amazing question. Each system is built specifically for the person that we're serving in their home that they're in. So they contact us and we will either physically visit their home or we can provide a virtual assessment in many situations. From there, we will prescribe a solution that meets all of the unique needs that they have. And everybody feels good about that. We move on.
Every person that you worked with is a success story. But I'm quite sure that you've had a couple really good successes, and I'd like for you to share one of them, if that's possible.
Absolutely. We always try to work ourselves out of a job. We'll just say that what we're doing is we're always trying to use technology to move people forward so that they can be as independent as possible. We had one individual that was living with his family, and that was into his 20s. Eventually, the parents wanted him to be able to live on his own in an apartment. Through the use of our remote support technology, we were able to have staff there that helped him learn to do, cooking, cleaning, anything that he needed to be able to do to maintain his apartment to the best of his abilities. And as we continued to work through those steps of allowing him to gain as much independence as possible, he eventually got to the point where he was able to graduate off of all of our services, and he went off to college. It was an amazing success for that. I think the key to what we're doing is it is never carved in stone. So when we first prescribe a technology solution, we know that that person's needs will change. In the future, their medical conditions may require that we provide more services, or they might have so much independence that we require less services. Whichever way their life goes, the services that we provide are able to meet their needs at every single moment, adapt to the life where they're at, eventually, hopefully, get them as independent as possible.
So have you had individuals with, let's just say, a lot of behavior issues where that family didn't want to let them go because their behavior issues could cause them to be in danger, could cause them to go out of their home and run away or do things that they don't know they're doing that's going to be harmful to them? How do you deal with that?
We want to be very careful about that. And sometimes what we realize is people sell other people short. We have had certainly a couple of cases over the years where somebody has had behaviors that are significant enough that remote support is not suitable for them. And if it's not, we say no. We want to make sure they're safe above anything else. But what we've seen is there have been so many circumstances where somebody is receiving direct support staff around the clock, sometimes even two staff in their home because of these, what the team would call behaviors. But what we found is the individual just didn't want to be surrounded by people all of the time. And we have actually been able to create technology solutions in many circumstances where this person that has always been said to be very behavioral has demonstrated a night and day difference when we're able to put certain safety measures in their home, give them time to just be on their own. Can you imagine if any one of us always had people hovering over us all of the time? There may be circumstances where we would act out because we just want to be left alone. And through the use of remote support, we can do that. We want to be careful and make sure that we're not being reckless with anybody's safety. But if we can carefully prescribe a solution that gives them all of the supervision that they need and as much freedom as they can possibly have, we've seen those behaviors decrease drastically.
I've heard some parents saying, I want to give my child, my young adult, the opportunity to do things on their own and be successful of doing things. If they're still in the home with mom and dad or uncle or whoever it may be, are you able to help with situations in the home with mom and dad?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we do that a lot from very young children all the way up through the adults that are living at home with mom and dad. And again, we're going to look at, what does that look like? Is it making sure that there is kitchen safety or proper supervision throughout the homes? There is always a technology that we can put in place to help out. And what we find sometimes is it's just a matter of giving mom and dad a peace of mind with what's happening in their homes so they can have a moment to just let their guard down for a second.
It sounds like it's a great opportunity. I see a lot of parents on TikTok and YouTube and various other social media talking about how tired they are because they have an autism child or an autism young adult in their home, that they just don't get to go to sleep. They just don't get to be able to rest. And it's a big hindrance because they just don't get what they need to, because they're always having to follow that individual around and making sure that they're okay. It sounds like that remote support can be a great thing to help individuals to be able to just walk away and take a rest.
Yep. And that's exactly it, that no matter whether it's remote support or assistive tech, we want to sit down and listen to the families, listen to the support team, and just hear, what's happening. And when we see that they just need rest or whatever their claim is, that's where we can find out what it takes to create the solution that's just right for them in that space, in that moment. And boy, it's been amazing to see the difference that technology has made in everybody's lives. We love it.
Some words of wisdom that you'd like to share to the listening audience.
Words of wisdom. Do not be afraid of technology. Do not be overwhelmed by the vast amount of technology out there. Yet I encourage you to be empowered by that technology and know that even if you're not familiar with what the solution might be that you need, know that it's out there. There are some wonderful people out here that can help you out. Don't be afraid of technology. Rather, embrace it, reach out to a professional, and find out exactly how it can be used to improve your lives.
I think those are very good words of wisdom. Again, how can people get in touch with you?
So visiting our website, www.wynn-reeth.com, winreeth.com. You can call our office at 419-639-2094, or visit us on social media. We would love to hear from everybody.
And suppose I'm in Southern Ohio. You mentioned that you were in the Northwest area of Ohio. Would I be a customer of yours?
Absolutely. We serve all across Ohio. Our offices are located in Northwest Ohio, but we serve everywhere in the state.
I'm interested in your services. I should contact the Developmentally Disabled Board.
Yep. If you're interested in our services, contact your local county board of developmental disabilities, and they can get you headed in the right direction.
Are you only in Ohio?
Yes. Yep. We've had the chance to expand into other states, but there's so much great work to be had here. I'd much rather just focus on our fellow Ohio.
Hey, this has been another episode of Technology for Independence with Christopher Cooley. We've been talking with Jared Hunt, whose business provides remote support and assistive technology. Chris, Jared, thank you.
It was my pleasure to have Jared you on today.
I appreciate it, gentlemen. Thank you so much.